Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing about the process of digestion and absorption in the small intestine. So before we go on to the video, let's have a quick recapitulation of what we have studied in our previous video. So we have discussed about the human digestive system and the process of digestion. So the process of digestion begins when we ingest the food into the mouth. The mouth leads into the oral cavity or into the buccal cavity. In the oral cavity, there are two ways by which digestion takes place. One is chemical digestion and the other is mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion is achieved with the help of teeth which is present in our jaw. And chemical digestion is made possible by the presence of enzymes which are present in the saliva. Now, one very important enzyme which we need to discuss here is salivary amylase or ptyalin. So, this enzyme plays a very important role in breaking the polysaccharides and convert them into disaccharides. So, from the oral cavity, the food moves into the esophagus through the pharynx. Once the food enters into the esophagus contracts and relaxes in a rhythmic manner, and this is known as peristalsis. By doing this, the esophagus slowly pushes the food down into the stomach. Once the food reaches into the stomach, in the stomach the food gets stored for a short period of time, and during this time it is acted upon by the hydrochloric acid which is present in the stomach. HCl does three very important functions. It creates an acidic medium to the stomach, it kills all the harmful pathogens which are present in the stomach, and then it converts the inactive pepsinogen into active pepsin. The role of pepsin is to break the protein and convert them into peptones. Actually, pepsin is a protein breaking enzyme. Now here if you see, in the oral cavity, carbohydrate digestion has already started. And in the stomach, protein digestion is also already started. Now, the food which is present right now in the stomach is actually a partly digested food, meaning it is already half digested. So, this partly digested food which is present in the stomach is known as chyme. This chyme which is present in the stomach will be sent into the small intestine little by little so that complete digestion can take place. Now, let's see the regions of the small intestine. Now before that, small intestine is highly coiled and it is about 6 meters in length, and it is divided into three major regions: duodenum, jejunum and the ileum. So duodenum is a part of the small intestine where maximum digestion takes place. Jejunum is a part of the small intestine where maximum absorption takes place, and in the ileum all the essential vitamins like vitamin B12 will get absorbed. Alright, I hope you are able to understand what are the different functions which are happening in the different regions of the small intestine. I will repeat again. In the duodenum, maximum digestion takes place. In the jejunum, maximum absorption of nutrients takes place. And in the ileum, important and essential vitamins like vitamin B12 will get absorbed. Now, how does complete digestion of food happen in the small intestine? Now, one thing that we need to understand here is small intestine by itself do not have the ability to completely break down the food. So, small intestine need helps from two very important glands in order to break down the food completely. The two glands are liver and the pancreas. Liver is one of the largest internal organs which are present in our body, and it is located on the upper right side of our body just beneath the diaphragm. Pancreas is located in between the stomach and the duodenum. Liver produces a secretion which is known as bile juice. The bile juice gets stored in the gallbladder, and pancreas produces a secretion which is known as pancreatic juice. Alright, so liver produces bile juice and pancreas produces the pancreatic juice. So in this image if you see, the bile juice and the pancreatic juice are communicating through a common duct. So with the help of this common duct, both the bile juice as well as the pancreatic juice get poured into the duodenum. So this is how the bile juice and the pancreatic juice are getting into the duodenum, which helps in the complete digestion of food. Now let's see how the bile and the pancreatic juice helps in breaking down the food into the simplest form. So liver produces approximately 250 ml to 1 liter of bile juice per day. The function of bile juice is that bile juice helps in emulsification of fat, and it also provides alkaline medium to the food. Now let's see what is emulsification of fat. Emulsification of fats is the process by which the complex fat molecule is getting broken down into simpler fat droplets. Okay, now I will repeat again. So bile helps in emulsification of fats. So what is emulsification? It is the process by which complex fat globule gets converted into simpler fat droplets. Alright, now one very important point is that bile do not have any enzymes in it. Okay, so how is this fat getting broken down without enzymes in the bile? But instead, bile has something called as bile salts. So the bile salts will act on the fat and it will break them into simpler fat droplets. Okay, so I hope you got this concept clear. Now next function of bile is that it creates an alkaline medium in the duodenum. So why is bile creating an alkaline medium in the duodenum? The food which comes from the stomach is actually acidic because it got subjected to the action of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid provides a pH of about 1.5 to 3.5 in the stomach. So now the problem which arises here is, I've told you about the pancreatic juice, right? So the pancreatic juice consists of a lot of enzymes. So these enzymes are very much needed to bring about complete digestion of food. So what is the problem here is, pancreatic enzymes do not have the ability to act in an acidic medium, whereas they can act in an alkaline medium. So that is the reason why bile creates an alkaline medium so that pancreatic juice can act on the food and break them into the simplest form. Okay, so now let's see what are the different enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice consists of enzymes such as trypsin, chymotrypsin and carboxypolypeptidase. So these three enzymes are known as proteolytic enzymes, which means they are all protein breaking enzymes. Alright, so proteo means protein and lytic means breaking. The next enzyme which are present in the pancreatic juice is pancreatic amylase. Amyl means sugar or glucose and ase means breaking. So pancreatic amylase is an enzyme which breaks the carbohydrates. Alright, the next enzyme is pancreatic lipase. Lip here means lipids. Lipids are nothing but fats. Okay, and ase means breaking. So pancreatic lipase is an enzyme which will break the lipids. Approximately 500 to 800 ml of pancreatic juice is produced per day. Now in this image you will be able to see how in the presence of protease, proteins are getting converted into their simplest form, amino acids. Here under the presence of amylase, carbohydrates are getting converted into glucose, which is a monosaccharide. And then under the presence of lipase, fats are getting converted into their simplest form, fatty acids and glycerol. Now the digestion is completed in the small intestine. So all the components of food have got converted into their simpler substance. Now what should happen next? The next is absorption. So how does absorption happen? Absorption happens with the help of a structure known as villi. Villi is a finger-like projection which is present in the small intestine. Villi consists of a network of blood vessels. So it has capillaries and it has one very important part called the lacteal. So capillaries and lacteal are two very important parts. So now what is capillary going to do and what is lacteal going to do? Let's check it out. So capillaries absorb amino acids and glucose exclusively. Alright, so capillaries, all the glucose and amino acids which are there after digestion will get absorbed by the capillaries. Now what are the lacteal going to do? The lacteal will absorb the fatty acids which are coming out after digestion. Alright, so capillaries are absorbing amino acids as well as the glucose molecules, and lacteals are absorbing the fatty acids. So with this we come to the end of the topic. So if you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel for more videos. If you have any doubts, you can leave that in the comment section, and if you want me to do any videos on particular topic, please comment that as well. Thank you.